fired up. Woo! Great morning. You guys got a brand new background. This looks kind of different. Why? Because we're moving, so we're getting rid of all kind of stuff. So the desk is not actually here anymore. So I'm at the couch today, no problem. And I'm fired up. We're going to have an epic Triple M. I've got my Herbalife Healthy Meal Shake, put some kale in it, so I got my greens. And then, of course, got my hot tea on deck with my Simply Probiotic. And I got my notebook. What else do you need? Your Herbalife breakfast, Triple M, and a notebook. Mondays taken care of. So I'm your host today, Aubrey Clarke. I'm so excited. Welcome to everybody tuning in live. Welcome to everybody watching the recording. I'm so excited every week that we start together because this is like creates the direction of your week. We actually even learned at our Success Training Seminar with Herbalife that when they did a study with 3 groups of people, one group ate carbohydrate high breakfast like muffins and stuff like that. One group ate like a mixture with some muffins and some carbs, some fats, and some protein. And then one group ate a higher protein-based breakfast like an egg white omelet and some spinach. And they saw what they ate throughout the day. And those groups that ate a higher carbohydrate breakfast craved carbs more throughout the day. About 50% or more throughout the day. The group that had a high protein breakfast, shout out to Herbalife, craved more proteins throughout the day. So what did that mean? That they kept their calories more controlled, because when you have good protein and balance with carbohydrates, carbs aren't bad, but only carbs will get you, putting on the weight that you don't want. So like for me, it showed me that the morning is so important. Why? Because what you do in the morning carries through your day. So what you do on Monday is like the morning for your week. So as you do on Monday, carries throughout your week. So fired up. Today we're going to be hearing from a guy named Sinek. I don't know if you've heard of him. I kind of heard I think his voice I've heard on some of the motivational videos I've listened to, but I haven't heard just him. But it's a very popular video that I found on our top 10 rules, and you're going to get a lot. Always on Triple M. It's always going to happen. So get your notebook. Be ready for some live takeaways at the end. If you're at work, getting your Triple M live at work, no problem. Type it in the chat bar. Type in where you're from. So everybody can throw in your name and where you're from so we can see the internationalness that is Triple M. It always fires us up. So without further ado, let's get into Simon Sinek, top 10 rules for success. Let's get it.
Let me tell you a story. So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. The Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races. And it's very common at the end of the race, they'll have a sponsor who will give away something, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's 2 ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line. I leaned in between 2 people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out 2 bagels. And no one got mad at me. Because the rule is, you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out, but I didn't have to wait in line. So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want. That's rule number 1.
Performing under pressure, whether it's me or anybody else, is the same. I have the same pressures as anyone else. There's time, there's performance, there's financial. I mean, there's deadlines. My pressures are not unique. The situations may be different, but everybody has the same kinds of pressures. But what I found, or what I find fascinating, is the interpretation of the stimuli. Let me explain. So I was watching the Olympics, this last Summer Olympics, and I was amazed at how bad the questions were that the reporters would ask all the athletes. And almost always, they asked the same question, whether they were about to compete or after they competed. Were you nervous, right? And to a T, all the athletes went, no, right? And what I realized is it's not that they're not nervous, it's their interpretation of what's happening in their bodies. I mean, what happens when you're nervous, right? Your heart rate starts to go, you sort of get a little tense, you get a little sweaty, right? You have expectation of what's coming, and we interpret that as, I'm nervous. Now, what's the interpretation of excited? Your heart rate starts to go, you're anticipating what's coming, right? You get a little sort of like tense. It's all the same thing. It's the same stimuli, except these athletes, these Olympic quality athletes have learned to interpret the stimuli that the rest of us would say is nervous as excited. They all say the same thing. No, I'm not nervous. I'm excited. And so I've actually practiced it just to tell myself when I start to get nervous that this is excitement. Yeah. You know? And so I used to speak in front of a large audience and somebody would say, how do you feel? I used to say, a little nervous. Now when somebody says, how do you feel? I'm like, really excited, actually. And it came from just sort of telling myself, no, this is excitement. And it becomes a little bit automatic later on. But it's kind of a remarkable thing to deal with pressure by interpreting what your body is experiencing as excitement rather than nerves. And it's really kind of effective. It makes you want to rush forwards rather than pull back, and yet it's the same experience.
I talk to so many smart, fantastic, ambitious, idealistic, hard-working kids, and they're right out of college, they're in their entry-level jobs, and I'll ask them, how's it going? And they'll say, I think I'm going to quit. And I'm like, why? They say to me, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months, right? They treat the sense of fulfillment or even love like it's a scavenger hunt, like it's something you look for. My millennial friends, they've gone through so many jobs. They're either getting fired, it was mutual, or they're quitting because they're not making an impact, or they're not finding the thing they're looking for, they're not feeling fulfilled, as if it's a scavenger hunt. Love, a job you find joy from, is not something you discover. It's not like, I found love. Here it is. I found a job I love. That's not how it works. Both of those things require hard work. You are in love because you work very hard every single day of your life to stay in love. You find a job that brings you ultimate joy because you work hard every single day to serve those around you, and you maintain that joy. It's not a discovery. But the problem is the sense of impatience. It's as if an entire generation is standing at the foot of a mountain. They know exactly what they want. They can see the summit. What they can't see is the mountain. This large is take accountability for your actions. You can take all the credit in the world for the things that you do right, as long as you also take responsibility for the things you do wrong. It must be a balanced equation. You don't get it one way and not the other. You get to take credit when you also take accountability. I spoke at an education summit for Microsoft. I also spoke at an education summit for Apple. At the education summit for Microsoft, I would say that 70% of the executives spent about 70% of their presentations talking about how to beat Apple. At the Apple Education Summit, 100% of the executives spent 100% of their presentations talking about how to help teachers teach and how to help students learn. One is playing this way, and one is playing that way. One is playing finite, and the other one is playing infinite. Guess which one gets frustrated? So at the end of my talk at Microsoft, they gave me a gift. They gave me the new Zune when it was a thing. And let me tell you, this thing was spectacular. It was the most elegant piece of technology I'd ever used. The user interface was incredible. The design was spectacular. I absolutely loved it. It was easy to use, and it was bright and gorgeous and fantastic. It didn't work on iTunes, which is a different problem, so I couldn't use it, but it was amazing. And elegant. My God, it was elegant. So I'm sitting in the back of a taxi with a very senior Apple executive, sort of employee number 12 kind of guy. And, I like to stir pots. So I turned to him, I said, you know, Microsoft gave me their new Zune, and it is so much better than your iPod Touch. And he turned to me and he said, I have no doubt. Conversation over. Because the infinite player understands sometimes you're ahead and sometimes you're behind. Sometimes your product is better and sometimes it's worse. The goal isn't to be the best every day. The goal isn't to outdo your competition every day. That's a finite construction. If I had said to Microsoft, I've got the new iPod Touch and it's so much better than your Zune, they would have said, can we see it? What does it do? React, 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 react. Finite players play to beat the people around them. Infinite players play to be better than themselves. To wake up every single day and say, how can we make our company a better version of itself today than it was yesterday? How can we create a product this week that's better than the product we created last week? We also have to play the infinite game. It's not about being ranked #1. It's not about having more followers on Twitter than your friends. It's not about outdoing anyone. It's about how to outdo yourself. It's not about selling more books or getting more TED views than somebody else. It's about how to make sure that the work that you're producing is better than the work you produced before. You are your competition. And that is what ensures you stay in the game the longest. And that is what ensures you find joy. Because the joy comes not from comparison, but from advancement.
When are you at your best?
I'm at my best when I'm around people who believe what I believe. I know it seems silly, but I try very, very hard to sort of stack the deck, to put myself in a position of strength. So for example, somebody asked me just yesterday, have you ever had sort of a bad, engagement? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, not really, but it's not because I'm some sort of genius or anything like that. It's because I stack the deck. It's because I want to be there. I want to be around people who want me there. In other words, if I'm somebody's 10th choice, I'll probably turn it down. Whereas if I'm their first choice, they really want me there, and so I'm more likely to have a good engagement. They're supportive of me, I'm supportive of them, and so I'm at my best when I stack the deck, when I choose to be in an environment where my strengths are there.
Nelson Mandela is a particularly special case study in the leadership world because he is universally regarded as a great leader. You can take other personalities, and depending on the nation you go to, we have different opinions about other personalities. But Nelson Mandela, across the world, is universally regarded as a great leader. He was actually the son of a tribal chief. And he was asked one day, how did you learn to be a great leader? And he responded that he would go with his father to tribal meetings. And he remembers two things when his father would meet with other elders. One, they would always sit in a circle. And two, his father was always the last to speak. You will be told your whole life that you need to learn to listen. I would say that you need to learn to be the last to speak. I see it in boardrooms every day of the week. Even people who consider themselves good leaders, who may actually be decent leaders, will walk into a room and say, here's the problem, here's what I think, but I'm interested in your opinion, let's go around the room. It's too late. The skill to hold your opinions to yourself until everyone has spoken does two things. One, it gives everybody else the feeling that they have been heard. It gives everyone else the ability to feel that they have contributed. And two, you get the benefit of hearing what everybody else has to think before you render your opinion. The skill is really to keep your opinions to yourself. If you agree with somebody, don't nod yes. If you disagree with somebody, don't nod no. Simply sit there, take it all in, and the only thing you're allowed to do is ask questions so that you can understand what they mean and why they have the opinion that they have. You must understand from where they are speaking, why they have the opinion they have, not just what they are saying. And at the end, you will get your turn. It sounds easy, it's not. Practice being the last to speak. That's what Nelson Mandela did.
Yeah, that last one was powerful. Love that. Awesome, you guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Let's get into some shares. Rox, what you got for us?
All right, what's up? So I love the first one. And the first one, he was talking about breaking the rules. And inside of breaking the rules, he was talking about the whole bagel thing and how he kept on telling his friend, like, hey, there's free bagels. And the guy was like, no, there's a line, there's a line, there's a line. And it's so funny because I've heard somebody tell me this before, who I consider a great friend. And she was just like, you've got to be attached to what you want more than you're attached to anything else. You know, if you want something, you've got to be so attached to it. And it's so funny because I remember her telling me this a couple of months ago, and this Saturday, while we were at our success training seminar, I had a snack pack that they give us inside of our training, and there was a protein bar in there, and I liked the lemon one. And so there wasn't any lemon ones in the center of the table, and the guy next to me had the lemon one. And so before her even telling me like the be attached to what you want, I probably would have just looked at it and not said anything and ate the other one. But instead, what I did, I tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, hey, would you trade that lemon bar with mine? He's like, you know what? He's like, actually, the one that you have is actually my favorite. Yeah, I'm down. And that for me, like, it was like, oh, like amazing moment, because before, again, I would have like shied away from asking, but no, I wanted a freaking lemon bar. So I was attached to the outcome. I was more attached to that. And that can be in anything in life. Sometimes we're out pursuing our goals and dreams and all of those things, and we're so considerate of other people and this and what are people going to think. But at the end of the day, you have to be so attached to what you want in order to get what you want. So I love that.
Nice. That was a good
And yeah, it was a great one. That's it.
That's it? All right, I like that.
That for me was everything.
That was powerful. How you do anything is how you do everything. That carries over.
That lemon citrus.
Love it, love it. I love everybody putting where they're from too in the chat thread. Keep it up, you guys. For me, some of the biggest ones, I really like take accountability. You know, sometimes you're the problem, take credit. And if you're willing to take credit, they said you should be willing to take accountability. And I was like, dang, that's so true. It's like not only for us, like being excited when we did it right, but if you're going to be excited when you did it right, you need to also be accountable to when you didn't do it right. It's not only the good that you get to celebrate. And for me, it really takes me back to, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? Because like those doctors, they could have been right in their books. Well, the books say this and the books say that, and my schooling said this and my expertise says that. But were they being effective? People were dying. So you can be right all day, but not be effective. As a doctor, 70% of your patients are dying. You can be right in all the books, but least effective in your practice. And it's really just getting down to what is most important to me. Am I here to be right or am I here to be effective? If I'm a doctor, am I here to help people or am I here to do what the book said? And I really feel like as a leader, as a father, as a brother, as a person in the community, as a coach, whatever you are, as a mother, as a sister, like you can be right or you can be effective, but you can't always be both. And if you're so attached to just being right because you want to look a certain way, if I want to look a certain way, then that's going to lead us to ignore certain things when, you know, maybe our ego, remember ego's the enemy, might get a little damaged, but is the ego being damaged worth you being more effective in what you want? Like I know a lot of people that are right and broke because their parents told them to go get a 9-to-5, their community told them to go get a 9-to-5, their school told them to go get a 9-to-5 and make some money and get a steady paycheck, but they're unhappy and unsuccessful and barely making a paycheck to paycheck. So in their mind, they're right. I did what I was supposed to do. But in their effectiveness, they're living paycheck to paycheck, not living where they want to live and not fulfilled, hating work every day. So it's like being at which part are you attached to? I really like that. And then I really like to outdo yourself, how you talked about Microsoft versus Apple. Finite, try to be better than others. Infinite, try to be better than yesterday. And I feel like for me, this is such a simple shift, but it's all in culture and thought process. So for example, you know, even in Herbalife, even in fitness and in the gym, even in business, you can say, okay, where am I at compared to everybody else? Or where am I at compared to yesterday? It's two different comparisons. And one will rob you and one will strengthen you. And for me, it's something I get to tell myself all the time. It's like not comparing myself to anybody left or right in Herbalife, in fitness, in business. It's comparing myself to yesterday. And if I can, at the end of the day, said I did everything in my power today to get a little better than yesterday, then I'm happy with myself. And on the flip side of that, taking accountability, if I didn't do everything in my power today, by the time I laid my head down to rest, then to get better, a little bit better than yesterday, then I get to take accountability for that. But having power over what others do and how you compare to them is never going to serve you, because you have no power over what other people do. Number one. Number two, it's always going to be a losing game because you're reacting. Remember, you said react, react, react. You weren't built to react. I wasn't built to react. We were built to create. And creation is not in response. Creation is spontaneous. Creation is from within. So I really like that one. And I just like the last one, be the last to speak. As a leader, I feel like when he talked about the different CEOs, like they come in the room and they're like, okay, this is the issue. This is what I think. What do you guys think? And he said, I didn't get it until now. But when you do that as a leader, you change the talking and the thought process of the whole room. You just changed everything by your gravity. Instead of, if you come and ask first, you get their like authentic thoughts and feelings. And I never saw it like that. So that's why it's so awesome to hear different messages, because you never know what you'll get that you maybe never even thought of. I never would have even thought. I thought the leader had to always be the first to speak. Like you started. But here he said the leader is the last to speak, so that you don't influence and that you can take everything into account. So I thought that was so powerful. Awesome. Let's get a few shares. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share live one of your biggest takeaways. Armani from the IE. What's up? What you got, bro?
What's up, you guys? Great morning. One of the takeaways I had today was taking accountability, like what you talked about earlier, is sometimes you are the problem, and that's a big thing, whether like that's your business, whether that's your home life, your personal life, your relationship, whatever it is, sometimes you are the problem. And that's a big thing for me, is like I've been learning, because I'm only 20, is really to take accountability of my actions in home, my business, and the circle of influence around, like at the club. So that, I feel like that really hits hard, is taking like full accountability for whatever I do. So that's the big thing, my takeaways.
Nice, man. To be able to know that at your age. You're only 20, right? Bro, to get that at your age is awesome, man. So really excited for you, bro. You show up like crazy. Let's get another takeaway. Give me a thumbs up or a smile. Ashley Ann, what you got?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, guys. So my takeaway was train your mind, because I don't like speaking in front of large places, and especially at STS, I always tell myself I'm nervous, but I need to switch it up and be like, I'm excited. I got to switch it up so bad, because I do that not only on big stages, but with people I don't know. When I approach them, I'm still kind of nervous, but then I need to start tricking my mind into, oh no, I'm excited. I got this. No problem. Everything's no problem. So that's my takeaway.
I love that. Yep. It's training your mind. And I'll tell you, this is really what it is. It's the story you tell yourself. So the story you tell yourself is the reality you live in. So for example, there's some people that the story they tell themselves is that living in the forest with no running water is how people live, and you can be happy. There's people that live on the planet like that. And like they're happy, they're excited. But if you or I probably were in that same situation, we'd probably be like, yo, we're poor, this sucks, life is terrible. Because it's the same exact situation in reality, but our story we tell ourselves is different. So when you start switching the story you tell yourself about excitement versus nervousness, it's the same exact feelings and environment. It's the same exact reality. It's just the story you tell yourself, so the filter you look at it through is different. The first step, though, is to being aware that you tell yourself a story. All of us tell ourselves a story, and then we live through our story as if it's true. If you came from a certain background, if your parents were a certain way, if you look a certain way, if you live in a certain place, everybody has a story. The difference is now either you're going to live the story given to you, or you're going to start to create your story and tell your story. Abraham Hicks, a powerful author and personal development guru, she talks about start playing the what if game. What if my life was like this? What if I felt like this? And that way you can start to create a new story to live through. What if I woke up every morning and I was so excited and my energy was crazy? When I looked in the mirror, I loved what I saw. And when I looked at my bank account, I got a big smile on my face because there was just so much overflowing every day. Like, that maybe isn't your story right now, but maybe you can start creating it. Like even the creation of it is going to change things for you. I'm guarantee you it's all about the story you tell yourself. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I love all the live takeaways. We got Texas in the house. We got Arizona in the house. We got Rancho Cucamonga in the house. We got Northern California in the house. We got everybody on the house. I love it. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but every week, no matter what, we get nuggets. And don't hesitate. Don't let this information stay with you. If you got something today, you got to pay it forward. Tell your coworkers, friends, family. Repost the flyer. Repost the recording once I get it up. I got to try to splice it together. And always tell people, yo, Triple M every Monday. You got to be on. Here's the link. Let's get it. All right. So, unmuted, everybody. Wait on that.
Go.
Yeah.
I